were actually experienced non-conference action against a bigger conference team. Bowling Green. Bowling Green was actually on the road. They were taking on Georgia Tech. Here's the craziest thing about this game. So Georgia Tech was listed as a 21-point favorite at home, as this game was at Bobby Dobbs Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Beautiful backdrop for a stadium, by the way. One of the underrated backdrops. Georgia State has that similar feel as well, as they're also in Atlanta. Now, if I told you that this was an 11-point win, you would think like, okay, Georgia Tech won, but they got some things that they gonna have to work on as they got through the meat of conference play. No, Georgia Tech did not win this game, so they were a 21-point favorite, and they lost by double digits. This is actually also keeping in mind that Georgia Tech did score a touchdown late in the game. They had a touchdown with 1:35 left to go. So we're looking at Bowling Green at some point with an 18-point lead before at the end of the third quarter. Tough day, a really tough day for Georgia Tech. And here's the thing. It was not Georgia Tech started off extremely fast. They started off extraordinarily fast. They actually scored the first 14 points of the game. That's the crazy part. We had a 53 Haynes King, like he was really feeling himself at the start of this game. Within the first 6 minutes, he had 2 passing touchdowns. Like he was feeling himself, man. He was feeling extremely good. But after that, what happened afterwards just was completely shocking. Bowling Green scored the next 38 points. They scored the next 30, they had 38 unanswered points on the road against Georgia Tech. Like, you can't win like that. You could not win like that at all. And you want to talk about insult to injury, Georgia Tech, they were wearing their Black Watch uniforms as a nod to like the Black Watch defenses of the 1980s. Even with Bill Curry attending, he was a former coach back in the 1980s. Their effort in that game did not inspire any comparisons to those stingy units. And one big reason for that, Bowling Green was able to find quite a bit of balance. Tyrion Stewart, running back for Bowling Green, he was able to run for 138 yards and a touchdown. And then their quarterback, Connor Basilick, very strong game. One of the better games that he had against an FBS opponent. 21 for 32, 263 yards, got a touchdown as well. He took real good care of the football. This was a great game for Connor Basilick in this one. Yeah, it's just, Scott Loafer, the head coach of Bowling Green, he said it perfectly. When our mind is right, when our heart is right, we're doing the things the right way, we're all right, and we're pretty good. So he's saying that Bowling Green is better than what the record says. And looking, Bowling Green, they had a little bit of a difficult non-conference schedule. They took on Liberty. Liberty is a team that is quickly turning into a possible favorite to win Conference USA. You also have Michigan. Michigan is in the top 5 right now. They're coming off of 2 straight playoff appearances. And it just all happened to come together against Georgia Tech. So just a little bit of a baffling result here. So what else happened? What else happened in this game? Because Haynes, like I said, Haynes King started off extraordinarily well in the game. Like his first couple of drives, it was 5 for 5, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like you couldn't ask for anything else. It's just after that, they just couldn't do anything with it until it was too late. King ended up with 23 for 37, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, multiple interceptions too. That's another thing that I wanted to harp on. They were just not careful enough with the football there. They turned the ball over 3 times. When you turn the ball over 3 times, you're going to put yourself in some some bad positions. And not only that, Bowling Green themselves, no turnovers, not a single turnover in the game. And another thing that really happened is that Bowling Green, they held the ball extensively. Bowling Green held the ball for nearly 43 minutes in this game. Out of 60 minutes, Bowling Green had the ball for nearly 3/4 of the game. When you keep the ball out of the other team's hands, that's a big recipe for success. If you have a 40-20 split, that's really good. That's how the Tennessee Titans were able to blow out the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. I hate saying that as a Cincinnati sports fan, but that's a big reason why Tennessee was able to blow out Cincinnati. They never allowed the Bengals to find any offensive rhythm. It was kind of a similar story after they were able to make some adjustments after that 14-0 deficit that they did end up facing early on. But what else happened? The Falcons, they found a way to convert third downs and extend drives. You don't have the time possession advantage that you saw Bowling Green have if it wasn't for their ability to convert third downs. They were so successful in third downs, matter of fact. They were 7 for 11 on third down plays. That was in the first half, and then they end up going 10 for 16 for the game. So that's the thing. It's not that Bowling Green was able to consistently have these big plays, with the exception of a 45-yard interception return, but that's by their defense. Out of all the scores that Bowling Green had, none of them were from more than 20 yards out, unless you call it for a field goal. So it wasn't like Bowling Green was bashing Georgia Tech down the field. They were just extending drives, just making the plays that were required, and just playing generally smart football moving forward. So for Georgia Tech, this is certainly embarrassing for them, and it's not going to get any easier for Georgia Tech moving forward. They did split their first couple of ACC games, but it's going to get ramped up really quickly. They got to play on the road next weekend. But not only does Georgia Tech go on the road next weekend, they're taking on a number 18 ranked Miami team. We saw how we feel about them in the power rating. I think they're closer to being a top 10 team than what people realize. Georgia Tech's got to figure some things out and figure things out quickly. Otherwise, this could very well turn into a bloodbath, right? And then for Bowling Green, great win for Bowling Green. Completely hats off to the Bowling Green Falcons, okay? Bowling Green, here's the thing with Bowling Green. Prior to this game, they took on Ohio, the Ohio Bobcats, which that could be a upper echelon team in that MAC conference. They were blown out by Ohio. They lost to Ohio. It was like 38-7. We'll check real quick to see if I have that. Yeah, 38-7 that Bowling Green lost to Ohio, and that was at home. So definitely unexpected. Definitely was surprised by this final result. So Bowling Green, they'll take on Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio was a pretty exciting team. Other than the loss that the Red Hawks had to the other Miami team down in Florida, they're on a 4-game winning streak right now. So Bowling Green's riding high. Miami of Ohio, they're hot too. This could be an intriguing game to watch if you pay attention to the smaller conferences. We'll see if Bowling Green can carry that momentum moving forward and have that consistency. And that's why they're 2-3 right now. This could be the ceiling that Bowling Green has against this Georgia Tech team, but what's the difference between like a 4-8 team and an 8-4 team is, how consistent could you be? And then one final note about this game was that Georgia Tech in the last 7 years, they're going to fall to 1-2 against the MAC conference. This is their second loss against a team from the MAC in the last 3 years. They do have a win against Bowling Green when they previously played them in 2018. That was 63-17, but then they lost to NIU 22-21 back in 2021, a year after the aforementioned COVID year. So Georgia Tech going to be in wounded animal mode. and they'll have their hands full against a Miami team. We'll see if both of these teams continue their trajectory as we get in to the month of October, moving ever closer to Halloween.